Welcome to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into a dramatic incident in the Caribbean Sea. Two Venezuelan Su-30 fighter jets locked weapons on the U.S. aircraft carrier USS George Washington. What happened next truly shocked both sides. Hit subscribe now, because this story is full of suspense. The incident was triggered by the Esakibbo dispute, a Florida-sized oil-rich region claimed by Venezuela from Guyana. A Venezuelan referendum showed 95% public support for annexation, prompting the U.S. to deploy the $6.2 billion USS George Washington Carrier Strike Group. This carrier is a floating fortress of immense power, dozens of fighter jets, advanced defense systems, and thousands of crew. Venezuela saw it as a direct challenge to their sovereignty. Backed by Russia, Venezuela operates Su-30 Flanker jets, known as carrier killers. Each carries Kh-31 anti-ship missiles with speeds 3 times the speed of sound. Two Venezuelan Su-30MK2 jets, flown by experienced pilots, took off and approached the carrier from 30,000 feet before dropping low to evade radar. On the carrier, a young radar operator named Petty Officer Jake Morrison detected the enemy jets via the Aegis system, which creates a 3D battle map with a 250-mile radius. The Venezuelan jets activated their weapons lock radar, triggering lock-on alarms in U.S. cockpits. This was a critical moment that could spark open war. U.S. Commander Captain Robert Chen chose a non-lethal response. He launched an EA-18G Growler, an electronic warfare jet with advanced jamming pods. The Growler created an invisible electronic cage, sending false signals that made Venezuelan radar see phantom carriers and ghost jets. Meanwhile, for U.S. F-35C stealth fighters positioned themselves undetected within 3 miles of the Venezuelan jets. Venezuelan pilot, callsign Jaguar 1, began experiencing system errors, radar failure, screen blackout despite their frequency-hopping radar. The F-35Cs performed simulated missile locks on the Venezuelan jets, but did not fire. It was a powerful message without actual shots. Jaguar 1 finally deactivated the weapons lock, rocked wings as a peace signal, and fled with full afterburner. The F-35s escorted the Venezuelan jets for 47 miles until safe, ensuring they didn't return. Post-incident, the Venezuelan Su-30s recorded over 87 system errors, including total radar failure. This proved U.S. electronic warfare superiority. Growler and F-35 changed the fight without a single bullet fired. Venezuela backed down, but Esakibbo tensions remain high. The U.S. showed that seeing first is more important than shooting first. The incident became a lesson. In modern war, information technology and jamming can win without bloodshed. Russia evaluated their equipment failures, while the U.S. strengthened its Caribbean presence. Venezuelan pilots returned with stories of failure, forever changing their Air Force doctrine. The U.S. continued exercises with Growlers and F-35s, enhancing electronic warfare capabilities for future threats. Geopolitical impact. Guyana grew more confident with U.S. support. Venezuela became more cautious. Global media covered the incident extensively, with opinions divided between praising the U.S. and criticizing provocation. Military experts called this the era of bloodless war, where stealth and jamming determine the winner. Likelihood of similar confrontations is high in other regions, like the South China Sea. AI's role in cockpits is increasingly vital, predicting enemy moves in milliseconds. Venezuela's economy suffered from new sanctions after this provocation. The Russia-Venezuela alliance remains, but with a strategic re-evaluation. The story became a legend at U.S. naval academies, an example of smart response. Regional impact. Temporary increased stability in the Caribbean, but subsurface threats remain. The U.S. upgraded Aegis systems on more carriers for supersonic missile threats. F-35 pilots received medals for their perfect stealth actions. Venezuela increased anti-jamming training for their Su-30 jets. The incident leaked to the public via limited video, showing U.S. dominance. NATO strengthened Atlantic alliances as an indirect response. Evolution of anti-ship missiles from Kh-31 to faster next generation. U.S. satellites were key in real-time monitoring of Venezuelan movements. This is a message to adversaries, provoking a U.S. carrier ends badly. Venezuelan public opinion was divided. Some saw the pilots as heroic despite the loss. The U.S. continued freedom of navigation patrols in the Caribbean. DRFM jamming technology became the new standard in U.S. Air Forces. Pilot Jaguar 1 shared his experience with media, admitting U.S. superiority. F-35 development continues, with sensor upgrades for electronic warfare. The incident sparked UN debates on rules of engagement in international waters. U.S. simulations now include Su-30 versus Carrier scenarios. Hybrid threats like drones plus jets are becoming more real. Final message: U.S. technology turns war into an information battle. The incident temporarily reduced Venezuelan air aggression. The Growler became the star of the incident, proof of effective electronic attack. The story leaked and went viral in global military circles. Guyana used the incident to strengthen its Esakibbo claim. Russia sent more advisors to Venezuela after the failure. The U.S. increased reconnaissance drones in disputed areas. Analysts predict the global electronic warfare race will accelerate. The USS George Washington crew took pride in a bloodless victory. Long-term Caribbean stability now depends on diplomacy. New hypersonic missile threats become U.S. defense focus. This incident also highlighted the importance of undetected support submarines, providing an extra layer of defense for the carrier strike group. F-35 stealth technology is not only hard to detect, but it can also share real-time data with the entire fleet through encrypted networks. After the incident, Venezuela restricted Su-30 jet operations near international waters to avoid similar risks. The U.S. increased the frequency of electronic attack exercises in the Pacific and Atlantic to prepare for more complex scenarios. Economic impact: Guyana's oil prices rose as investors gained confidence from U.S. protection. Russia quietly upgraded Su-30 radars with new anti-jamming systems based on lessons from this incident. The U.S. intelligence community analyzed post-incident Venezuelan communications, finding major changes in operational orders. The incident became a case study in NATO war colleges on handling provocations without escalation. Involved U.S. pilots received faster career promotions due to their professional actions. Cyber threats also increased, with Venezuelan hacking attempts on U.S. systems failing completely. The U.S. is developing a new generation of more powerful jamming pods for future Growlers. Guyana began more aggressive oil exploration in Esakibbo with U.S. protected ships. Venezuelan media tried to spin the incident as a moral victory, but few believed it. The U.S. increased electronic warfare budget by 15% for next year due to this incident. Venezuelan Su-30 pilots experienced mild psychological trauma after feeling blinded in the air. The incident accelerated development of directed energy weapons for carrier defense. U.S. allies like the UK and France sent their carriers for joint exercises in the Caribbean. Venezuela sought alternative fighter jets from China as a backup due to doubts about Russia. The Aegis system continues to be tested with simulations of hundreds of simultaneous threats. The incident reduced Venezuela's confidence in their own air capabilities. The U.S. shared incident lessons on a limited basis with allies to improve interoperability. Cheap drone threats became a new focus after proving expensive jets can be neutralized electronically. Captain Robert Chen received an award for his calm decision to avoid escalation. Venezuela increased domestic propaganda to maintain armed forces morale. The U.S. is developing AI for faster threat detection than humans. The incident inspired a planned military documentary film released next year. Environmental impact: intensive patrols increased fleet fuel consumption. Regional allies like Brazil and Colombia increased intelligence cooperation with the U.S. This marks the end of the era when fighter jets could approach carriers without severe consequences. The story of USS George Washington versus Venezuelan Su-30 remains a reminder of the invisible power of modern technology. That wraps up the long story of the dramatic Caribbean incident, showing how modern war is won with brains and technology, not just weapons. The U.S. proved dominance without bloodshed. Thanks for watching to the end. Like if you're impressed, share with friends, and subscribe for the latest military updates. See you in the next video.